James, thank you so much for being here today. For those who haven't had a pleasure to meet you, could you share with everyone your name, your company name, where you guys are located?
My name is James Chenault. I work for Griffin Plumbing. We are out of Santa Maria, California, which is on the central coast of California.
Very good, very good. And you are, what is your role there?
I am field supervisor, also the lead sales guy, but I spend a lot of my time with training as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. We're talking for a great reason. You had a killer year last year. Time to brag. What did you do in sales last year?
I think just a little over 1.8 million.
Very good.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you sold it, but you did some of the install as well in there, right?
There's a time where, I stick behind, and, it's all about meeting the client's expectations. It's one thing about getting the job sold, but depending on where the guys are at with their day, my install guys, and what really needs to happen to facilitate getting a client going properly,
right,
I will stick behind, and we will make it happen no matter what, whatever it takes.
Sure, yeah. Sure. You mentioned your team. How many trucks you guys roll?
Right now we have 10 trucks.
Huh.
I think we got 2 more on the way.
Oh, that's great.
We got a couple guys kind of piggybacking and stuff, so they'll be happy to be able to stretch their wings in their own vehicle coming up here.
That's cool.
So 10 trucks, about 10 guys. We got 4 girls in the office as well. And yeah, that's what we got going on.
Yeah, you mentioned training. What? So you're doing all the training for the company?
Technical training.
Technical training. Not just a sales guy, you're also a technical guy.
I grew up being more of the hands-on, the technical guy, of being able to go and work on things and just being able to master that. So technical training, sales training, ride-alongs, all those types of things, just whatever we can do to try to move things forward. Our biggest thing is we are trying to be the largest service provider on the Central Coast, and we are aiming to head that way, and that all starts with a good platform, a good base.
That's great. So even though you are producing these great numbers, you're also finding time to do ride-alongs. You see the value in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want my guys not only selling their own work, but I want them turning over 20% tech leads as well.
Yeah.
Everything that I'm doing, I feel like anybody can do. It's all about communication. If you can be a master communicator, I believe you can give the information any way you can.
I want to learn about your call process, how you run them. We'll dig into that in a minute. Before we do, I always enjoy learning people's stories and how they got to where they are today. So how about you, right out of high school, what was your next step?
Oh, shoot. This all started before high school.
Okay.
I'm fortunate enough to be, in a family of almost like 3 generations of plumbers. My uncle had a company there in Santa Maria 30 years even before we got started. And part of that is I would go in there when I was 14, 15 years old, and I would go weed whack the boneyard.
Yeah.
And just like, hey, there's some fittings over here. And I just kind of, next thing you know, I'm in the warehouse trailer organizing fittings and doing things like that. And that was pretty much my younger stint.
Yeah.
As I got a little bit older, I started being able to go on service calls and do things like that, and just really enjoyed digging and just being out and using my hands. I'm just very active, and I've always just been hands-on with things.
Right.
Right after high school, it's a funny story. I was at this Taco Bell right in front of this Mid-State Bank, and above this Mid-State Bank was my boss's office. And he had come down after work and saw I was over there at the Taco Bell and said, hey, what do you think about starting work tomorrow? And I said, oh, all right. and from that day forward, I've never stopped.
Is that right?
That's just how
So how
it started.
have you been there?
I've been with Griffin Plumbing for probably over 15 years between my first time I was with them and then now. There was a little gap in between.
Okay.
So probably about 15 years in total.
Yeah. How has your role evolved? You didn't start at this sales kind of manager role. It took time, right?
It sure did. And even the whole company was never this way. We were all about just new construction and a little bit of service. And we finally started getting involved with SGI, which we lost the new construction, turned into all service and repair, and focus all of our resources in that area.
Yeah.
For me, how it all evolved is I had to start at the bottom. When I got in, again with the Griffin Plumbing, I was at the bottom, and there was 3 sales guys ahead of me, and I'll just never forget, the boss's words at one point. He's like, "Man, you're in the least stocked truck that we have, and you're bringing in the most revenue. We're thinking we're going to need to do something different with you." Next thing you know, I got a real service truck, and I was just starting to do my thing slowly, using the program that Certain Path, SGI at that time, but Certain Path has brought to the table. Just really opened my eyes to being able to control my own destiny.
Yeah.
I am not a contractor of myself, and nor do I have my own company, but it almost feels that way.
Yeah.
I'm working for a contractor, but I'm, if I want to go to work and I want to make money, I need to make this happen myself. And it's all in my hands, and I really liked that.
Yeah. When you were in new construction and you saw, and you were there, and you made the switch to service, were you were you a service technician at that point, or what do you remember from that transition?
What I remember biggest about that transition, of course, well, I think it's the smell right away. There's something about the brand new framing being drilled out, new water lines going in, new waste lines going in. I mean, the smell of new construction, I'll just never forget. Well, and then the smell of the repair business, you can imagine.
It's a little different.
And so there was that big change on things. But for me, I'm like, hey, check it out.
Yeah.
I have not only been able to see what is in the infrastructure of all these walls because I got to install it, but now I get to go to a home where it's drywalled, and I know what it looks like behind there. And a new construction guy will always be better at service and repair than a guy that just started in the repair business because you know what it looks like underground. You know what to look for.
Yeah, I think it's funny that your approach. You're such a plumber that you come from that. Oh, I'm going to think of it technically. You didn't bring up the customers and have to talk to them. So that's intimidating though, right? Or were you like, it's fine. I enjoy what I do and I want to help people.
I think for me at the beginning, it was more of, hey, give me my project for the day. I know what I need to do, and I'm going to go execute and then head home. Then it started to get into, needing to be able to communicate more and needing to be able to, I'm going to have water off. Your hot water's going to be restored here in a little while. And just having to start communicating to the point where I realized, like, oh my gosh, I'm an okay communicator.
Yeah.
And I started getting reviews like that. Oh, James communicates so well. I'm like, oh my God, maybe I can do this.
Right.
So I got introduced, with the part. I was selling for a few years, and I got to the point of, okay, the numbers and all that were looking really good. How about you, James, be our sales coordinator, our field supervisor on this, and, help all the other tools that we have too, kind of help implement those other tools we have with the guys and help elevate them as well.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? That would be fun. I really do enjoy teaching other people plumbing, sales, whatever it is, and watching them go and execute at a high level. And to me, that's the reward.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Unfortunately.
Right. But you have an open mind and you like to grow and learn. I think that's the stigma with a lot of people that are traditional plumbers or technicians is, well, they've been doing certain things same way. They're not going to evolve, but you've got a different mindset. I think it's probably why
you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but you can chisel those skills in. And for me, I don't like change. I absolutely hate change, and I'm very bad with it, especially when everything went onto an iPad as opposed to having paper invoices. It was just, I'm like, I like the paper better,
Yeah.
But as you start evolving and, everything, there's always a change for a reason.
Sure.
And what I have learned is usually those reasons are a good reason for the change.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be just fine.
All right. Very good. Let's start talking about your process. First of all, what types of calls do you typically get?
I would say the number one call I'm heading to is either a stoppage call,
okay,
or a no hot water call.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about each one of those. Let's go to the stoppage call first. What are you doing to prepare yourself for that call, say, as you drive?
The biggest thing for preparation, of course, is, you got to look good. You got to feel good, and you're not going to feel good if you don't look good, and you're not, clean, pressed shirt, all that stuff. But the biggest thing for me is, have we done business with this client before? Is this a reoccurring problem? Is there a history that I can go look at? Listening to that phone call gives you so much information on what the client's actually wanting to achieve that day on your visit.
Right.
And I am mentally preparing myself for what this all looks like. I try not to go too far with it, as you can go too far with it. Next thing you know, you're speculating what it is, and you're almost diagnosing before you get there. Shoot, you're creating options on the iPad, and you haven't even seen what the heck it is.
Yeah.
So I try to have an open mind on every call. The biggest thing is to smile. People are seeing you before you see them. I mean, they've been waiting for you, right?
Yeah.
So I just I'm trying to smile and just trying to have a clear mind is the best thing on every call. Forget about the last call. Forget about your home life. Forget about everything else. And let's truly be able to show some empathy today on this call, as this person's in need. And just depending on what it is, but
Sure. Now, in the stoppage call, you said you will have someone with you, too.
I will. It is, usually a technician, which will bring their own truck behind me, and or we'll go together. But we will get to the point where we go. We are sometimes even putting a camera down before even any business is exchanged, just as part of our diagnostic service fee, so that we can have a better idea of where the stoppage is at and what we need to do to attempt to restore flow.
Well, we'll get to that just one second. Before we get there, though, there's an important step I want to talk about. So you pull up to the truck, or you pull up to the home, you get out, you're smiling, you knock on the door, they let you in.
Yes.
Rapport is big, right? Because, people aren't going to ultimately buy from someone they don't like. So how do you start trying to make an immediate connection?
My immediate connection that I teach all the guys is look for something within the home, the garage, the area that is something you can connect to, something you can relate to, that you can give a compliment on.
Right.
Or ask questions about if you've never seen it before. And that beginning, break the ice a little bit, gets their mind off the problem for 2 seconds while they're explaining how cool that their 68 Camaro is or whatever.
Yeah.
And just right off the bat, I'm able to break the ice in a way that I'm not even talking about plumbing yet. I'm talking about the nice car. And it really, I think, to me, it dulls a situation down from, somebody that is all stressed out about the current situation to thinking about something else real quick.
Sure. At that point, do you like to talk about yourself and the company at all, or do you kind of wait to use that as a way to close or to combat objections?
Right off the bat, I am not talking about myself too much, as I don't feel that is a necessary component yet.
Yeah, right.
Right now, I want to hear about what's going on and where this problem is, and have them lead me to that area right away.
Sure.
As this is what makes the most. This is what means the most to them right now.
Yeah. What questions do you like to ask? So again, we're just dealing with a stoppage in this situation.
Yes. So, how long have you been in the home? Has this ever happened before? If it has, what happened last time? What did they find? Who is this affecting when this happens? And what is it affecting in the home? Are some very good questions.
Yeah, very good. All right, what's the next step then?
From there, right as they're showing me that problem, that is when I do my introduction statement of myself. Like, hey, I understand that you have a mainline stop. What to me it looks like a mainline stoppage that you are having today. Again, like I said at the door, my name is James. I'm with Griffin Plumbing. I've been doing this 19 years. There has not been a stoppage that I have not been able to solve. You are in good hands, and I'm going to get you going today. Other than this stoppage right here in this area, is there anything else in your plumbing system that you would like me to look at while you have me out? And that's a great question.
Yeah. I like it.
It's usually like, well, but as a matter of fact.
Right. Yeah, because no one thinks about it until someone brings it up.
Yeah.
So in that case, will your technician then work on clearing it while you'd maybe do an inspection?
So we will do the inspection right then and there before we even really concentrate on clearing the drain. Really, this one stoppage is only one area of the entire drain waste and vent system. I want to go and I want to test everything and just get a good evaluation, get a good pulse check on the homes. system. And at that point, I will go and introduce an option to, at that point, attempt to restore flow to the line.
Got it.
Which that option does nothing more than allow me to deploy my cable equipment. We are going to get the water to move out of the way. We are going to put a camera down afterwards, and we are going to go discover why this is happening.
Very good. All right, I want to back up a quick second. You asked, really great question, is there anything else that you notice? And we said, yeah. But what happens if someone goes, I don't know, really, this is just a problem? How do you get from that answer to doing a full inspection then?
Well, I say, if there's nothing else, I tell you what, I see that this is really bothering you, so I'd like to focus here today. But after we're done and after we're able to get the waters cleared, we do have this home inspection where we can focus on, the 10 most biggest components in the system, the water heater, the toilets, the pressure, and all that stuff, which, depending on the call, could have been a contributing factor to today's service.
Okay.
That's how I interject that no matter what, nor do I really give them an option to say no.
Right.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Okay. Yeah. Very good. So at this point, you're clearing the line. Yep. They've signed off on it. I like that you've set the expectation that we are putting the camera down.
We are.
I guess no one really says anything, right? They're like, okay. Or do you get pushback or?
Well, about the camera thing, it's like, I don't want to pay for a camera. It's like, what, the camera is a tool for myself to make sure that we've done a good job for you. In the event that we see something that we feel like you need to see, we're going to bring you over and you're going to look at it with us.
Right. Right. All right. So you put the camera down and see it's crushed or there's roots. What do you do next?
I usually call the client over as I want them over my shoulder, and I'll say something like, hey, I'm going to start from the beginning here. And as I'm going, if you see any of this pipe that just doesn't look right or is not too round or has anything going on in it, please let me know. And I'll just start pulling back. Next thing you know, like, oh, look at that. Like, yeah, that was one point. And we're just kind of narrating the video as we're pulling through it. One thing that the client's expectation is before that camera has even went down, and this is when I'm presenting the options, is check it out, Miss Smith. This first investment today will not be your long-term solution. Be expecting another investment after this, as this is really doing nothing more than allowing me to see what's going on. Mm-hmm. If people don't want to move forward with that, well, then we're probably not moving in the right direction.
Right.
So, with all that in mind, they're seeing these roots, they're seeing all this in the line. That way, the only thing they're surprised about in my options is the price.
Sure.
And they know exactly what's going on, and they've been part of it.
Yeah. So in this circumstance, let's say we have, roots all over the place, but you also set the expectation you would do an inspection at some point.
Yes.
The inspection, do you still find time to do that? I mean, you got a big sale happening here with the sewer line, so how do you navigate that?
I really, as part of our service today, it includes finishing in this inspection. We don't deviate from that. I understand this is going on, but I've also gotten flow restored maybe at that point, and now we have a little breathing room to finish our inspection. And, Mrs. Smith, a sewer system is like a tree. You have your trunk, and then you have your branches. Right now, your trunk has experienced a restriction in flow, and all these other branches will not be able to drain good if this isn't draining good. So I need to look at everything so that I can make sure when I leave today that there is nothing that you could be disappointed in me about when I leave here today.
Support for this podcast comes from Shuby. Keeping your client's floors clean can be a hassle, but it doesn't have to be when you use Shuby's high-quality shoe covers and surface protection products on every job. Our products are specifically designed to showcase your professionalism at a minimal cost per job. Made from strong, durable materials that won't rip or tear, our products ensure maximum protection. We know that your time is valuable, and that's why we make it our mission to provide you with the tools you need to get the job done quickly and efficiently. So why wait? Visit www.shuby.com to check out some of our great products and use code SC10 to get 10% off all Shuby products.
So where do you go next then? In a situation like this where it's a flow issue, it's a big issue, but you want to do this other inspection, and it benefits the customer to know what's going on.
Yeah.
for sure. I totally believe in that. But, well, how do you like to navigate the home at that point?
I like to go in and do my inspection. At that point, I do a little, I don't know what you really call it, if it's a money warning or an option warning, but I'll go to the client right after my inspection and give a quick little recap about what's happened and what I'm about to go do.
Okay.
Hey, I know you had a mainline stoppage today. We gave you an option to get flow restored. We were able to do that. We've also, after that, performed a whole home inspection. Good news. Home looks great. But like you saw in that main line, there are some issues in there that we are going to need to address. Tell you what, give me about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to get some options to you that could take care of this.
Sure.
And do you have any questions before I go and do this?
Okay.
And
so let's say, though, you go through the home, and you see, first of all, will you like to bring the homeowner with you? Do you not push it?
I ask at the beginning, hey, if you'd like to come with me, that's just fine. Most people don't want to, and that's okay too.
Right.
But say we do find things.
Yeah. It's a bad shut-off valve or a 20-year-old water heater.
I will still, at that point, major on the majors.
Yeah.
And minor on the minors.
Right.
At that point.
Right.
But
you're documenting it, right?
Well, definitely document it, and I'll have options created for you.
So that's what I want to know.
But
yeah.
I will make sure that they know that our main focus today is their sewer.
Yeah.
And then while we were here, these are some other things that we found.
Right.
And the reason to do it that way is it just, you don't want to come off salesy. You don't want to come off anything other than, they didn't call you out for any of that. They just called you for this. Let's focus on this. And in the event that it's within the budget to get some of these other things done, well, let's do those as well.
In a situation like this where it's like, that's a big ticket, water heater's a big ticket, I mean, will you give options? I'm sure you're giving options on a water heater, right? Maybe a tankless, something like that. Are you also, let's say it's a bad shutoff valve. So are you building how many separate options before you go, I'm just going to bury these people? Because maybe it's an old home, right? I mean, I don't know. It might have a bunch of stuff.
With our company, we do 6 options.
Okay.
So we will have, all the way up to everything we recommend, all the way down to why they called us out today.
Yeah.
With introducing, of course, at that point, your most premium option down to the least that you can do for a client. With financing and payment plans for each option, and it just kind of gives them a level. But what I like to do, I tell you,
and real quick, will that include those 6, the trenchless option?
It will.
Okay, so you like to give the 6.
I do.
And then also, how do you decide how to take away? It tops everything, right? Your house about ready to fall apart. Let's do everything new. How do you decide to break out the rust?
So, although I'm creating 6 options, I can't say that I'm never getting to the point where I ever have to introduce all 6.
Okay.
I just introduce my most premium and everything that's in it, and that's when I become completely consultative. Like, here's the information. What do you like about this option? What do you don't like about it? Delete. Next thing you know, we're customized to exactly what they want. And I haven't really had to do much. Although if they say, well, I just don't want trenchless right off the bat, well, I'll have one that just doesn't have the trenchless on it. Okay, it's the mid-range option. It's right here, But not too often am I having to ever just, and my most economic is,
Sure. I like you leave it to them to make him take its stuff out.
Yes.
Trenchless technology. Yes, you do relining, you do bursting. Most homeowners have no idea what any of that stuff is. Right, so you're sitting, do you sit down and try and educate them before we go into the options?
We do.
Yeah, let's talk about that process because, you did your inspection, still got the main reason, main problem. So what do you do to communicate what needs to happen?
So we got this, we're with a unity called New Flow who does trenchless pipe relining, and they have a little pamphlet video. Okay. And I'll go right before I go and create those options, and I'll hand them that video, so that they're sitting there watching this thing, and by the time I come back with some options, they're like, oh, yeah, and they almost kind of know stuff about it. Oh, with the pipe relining, yeah, you put it through and they kind of know a little bit about it, just kind of primes them a little bit for what is to come, to really educate them more on the product, what it's used for, what it does, which I can tell them that too, but a little third-party reference like that booklet sure does a lot.
Sure. It's a big part of the business, but it's a small dollar item. But it's for growing companies to support. Do you guys do a club membership?
We do.
Okay. When do you start bringing up the idea of a club membership?
Every call, really.
It's like the beginning of the call? Okay.
Yeah, the CSR in the office is not only bringing it up at the beginning that, hey, our technician will get out there today, diagnose what's going on, and be able to give you some options. We also have a club membership, which could help you as well, so please ask your technician about that. So the first thing I do when I'm talking about club membership is, hey, well, there's a few things, but really I'm trying to relate it to the call. Maybe it's not having maintenance, or maybe it's not having something that they would have gotten had they have been a member.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm using that, to their advantage to be able to offer something that maybe prevents that from happening in the future. But then, really, I am basically, right before I even interject my options, I will have what is called as our Griffin Guardian Plan membership, and I'll slap it right in front of them and just say, hey, before I get started today, I wouldn't be doing my job correctly if I didn't tell you about all the benefits that Griffin Plumbing has to offer. Like the CSR told you on the phone earlier, we have this Griffin Guardian Plan, which in every one of my options today, I have put this plan in there. In the event that you just don't want to be a part of this or don't see the benefit in this, well, we could take it away, but here's what it'll do.
Yeah.
And
I like you put it in every option.
Yeah, it's just, and it really does. And we try not to sell it sell the membership on the savings alone, because you save 15%, and it is very attractive to get the membership because of that.
Yeah.
But after the savings is done, well, you still got 364 days left of being able to provide legendary service to these clients. And I tell people, look, you're a member. My work here is not done. Only half of my work's done. The other half is when I get to come back in a year and make sure that this stuff stays working for you the way I promised you.
I like it.
And that's when I can say, okay, we're done.
Yeah. On this either the relining or the burst, whatever you decide to quote, do they get a discount?
They do not.
On that. They do.
So our members do not get discounts on water filtration, water repipes, sewer repipes, but 96% of all of our other services they do.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we're putting a good long warranty on it. Like our water filtration's got a lifetime warranty. Our sewer lines have 10-year warranty. There's just no way to discount that stuff. We're going to need to keep that there.
Yeah. What kind of filtration do you guys offer?
So we do both water softeners and reverse osmosis system through a company called Puronics.
Okay.
And
Right. Okay.
Awesome.
Very good. So you're, let's say, you're noticing water spots when you're doing an inspection, just some, there's some corrosion on some fixtures. During your, how do you bring it up before you show me inspection? Because for example, it's not a major call like we're talking about, where we're replacing the sewer line. And so does your inspection differ at all in how you communicate what you're noticing?
Our inspection includes a water test. So for something like that, we would notice absolutely that they have some hard water spots or deposits on faucets, fixtures, glass doors, dishwasher, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But also while you're trying to drain and flush their water heater, it becomes pretty obvious that they need a different type of solution. But I will absolutely, say things like, hey, have you ever thought about a water softener? Have you ever considered it? Is there a reason you don't have one? Or something like, are you opposed to having a water softener? Because some people are, so they don't like it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely bringing it in.
So you're always bringing, and it's built in one of your 6 options.
It really needs to be. We can argue that almost everything in the water system that fails is due to corrosion because of hard water.
Right.
So yes, it's a faucet. Yes, it's a water heater, toilet, so on. But that was all caused from something.
Okay.
Usually our inspection will allow us to uncover those reasons for the failure.
So when you do your water test and you see what the results are, and you're like, oh boy, and you tell the home that's really what you focus on. It will cause your entire plumbing system to degrade and ultimately fail early. Is there anything else you talk about?
Well, the drinking water, and that would be, do you drink this? Yeah, why? Well, it's testing worse than your incoming water. Or I'm just wanting to know, actually test is really good. It's up there with the best drinking bottled water. So,
yeah.
Water quality is very important. In our area, there's a lot of chlorine, a lot of chloramines in the water, a lot of dry skin, all that type of stuff. So it's very important in our area. I mean, I'm sure everywhere in America, but definitely in our area for sure. If you don't have a water softener, your budget better be pretty big to make a lot of replacements in that plumbing system.
How do you educate people what the difference between the two solutions are? Because, again, people don't know anything. Most people don't know anything.
As far as reverse osmosis
Yes.
Reverse osmosis is really for drinking consumption only and cooking with. So your coffee, your tea, your, making pasta, all that type of stuff is really, that's your drinking water. You have bottled drinking water at your kitchen sink. One faucet over, well, now you have tap water or soft water coming through. A whole house filtration system, well, that is a way to be able to remove the calcium, the magnesium, the lime scale from the system, displace that so that, we are able to protect your biggest investment that you make, which is your home.
Yeah. And you show them the water test before you go to
do.
Yeah.
I really do. And I swear almost every call you can wrap a filtration option in with almost every call.
Okay.
Especially if they don't have one and it's not working. In our area, it is a necessity.
Yeah. Very good. And so even if they go, I don't know, James, I'm like, you'll still include it and as an option, even if they're kind of pushing back or like they don't look, they care one way or another.
They're not going to be surprised about it in the option. Whether or not they move forward on it or not is up to them. Like all the options are. But one thing you don't want to do is talk about a solution without giving an option for it.
Sure.
You don't know. You don't know what they're really thinking. Like, they may not look too excited about having to spend money on it, but if you don't give that option, you're just you're leaving things behind as far as information.
Do you always sell those as a package, or will you go, okay, you really just want the better drinking water, with better tasting drinking water, or will you separate it?
They are separated. Yeah. I would say not very often is it going in the whole house filtration unit and an RO at the same time. One thing that we do see going together a lot is a water heater and a water softener.
Yeah.
Those two seem to go together a lot, especially a tankless water heater, which it should just be a sin to have hard water ever go into those.
Right. I was going to mention, because the other example you said you go for a type of call you go to a lot is, no hot water heater calls. What kind of options do you build typically for those? I'm assuming if they have an old school traditional tank water heater, tankless in there, right? Or how do you look at those?
Support for this podcast comes from pulseM and Customer Lobby. As you prepare for summer, it's vital to have a plan in place to maximize reviews and referrals during your busy season. If you're looking to increase your volume of online reviews or follow up with customers automatically to ensure they choose your business the next time they need service, pulseM and Customer Lobby can help you achieve this by working together to increase value at each touch point in the customer journey. pulseM and Customer Lobby are proud partners of CertainPath, and it's our focus to help members maintain trust with customers and create a personalized experience throughout the entire customer journey. Increasing your amount of Google reviews has a large influence on gaining a greater amount of repeat and referral business. pulseM can help you achieve up to 3 times more reviews, while our unique algorithm within Customer Lobby can then follow up with your customer base at the optimal time to produce a response and remind customers to book their next service. If you're looking to hear more about how we partner with CertainPath members or view a free demo for pulseM and Customer Lobby, we'd love to connect with you. Visit the link in the description to get started.
So my options, depending on how many I'm making, tankless, because that is the most efficient way to hot water. The problem with the tankless is the retrofit to actually install one in an older home that wasn't built for one becomes to be the more complicated part on the deciphering factor on why people want one or not.
Yep.
But definitely given the information, there's also a rebate through the gas company to go, that direction. Hey, this is what's offering. You want to go green. This is a direction. You're only heating what you use, so your gas bill goes down. I mean, all these benefits of it, all the way down to just doing a conventional tank water heater and or repairing the one they currently have.
Yep.
Try to give them a range of the whole market, everything that the lowest we can do for them all the way to the most. And,
right.
one option that I'm always giving is a homeowner provided. If you want to go pick out the water heater of your dreams, have it here, we will put it in.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
it's very good. On a, again, I'm kind of chasing different things. On a call where I don't care what the reason the call is. It's not a water heater call, but you get to the water heater at some point, and they're clueless, but the thing's ancient, it's corrosive, it's looking bad. When do you start talking how do you kind of get them to open their mind about what a tankless system is? Like, a lot of people still don't know what it is. So if you include that in an option, right, you got to kind of educate people about what that is.
Like, do you ever run out of hot water?
Okay. So you just say, hey, I know we didn't, this isn't the reason why, but boy, how do you kind of break the ice on that?
Well, especially with introducing a tankless when they weren't.
Like, yeah, even think about a tank at all. They weren't here for water. You're not here for water.
I think the best things that you could do at the beginning as you're going up to that water heater are asking those qualifying questions like, how many people live here in the home? How long have you been in the home? Do you plan on having any more kids or adding any more, is mom moving in? All these questions are good to ask. Just because a home has a 40-gallon water heater does not mean that 40-gallon water heater needs to be in that home if it doesn't meet the demands. So those are very important questions to ask up front, is who's using this, who's benefiting from this. Do you run out now? What were you looking for? Have you heard of a tankless water heater, right? And you just kind of, tankless, most people have these days. And it's just an option I wanted to give you guys, right? And with a lot of that, you're asking about the maintenance. Like, how often did you flush this thing? And you're just kind of getting a little information, especially if it's a heater that's still within the warranty period or something like that. You're trying to get a good idea of why it failed.
Sure.
And sometimes there's a little accountability within the homeowner for the reason of that.
Sure. Sure. Very good. All right. Let's get back to where we were a while ago, but I wanted to bring up these different circumstances. In the, where you've given the relining or bursting solution, whatever, in this example, and here's that top option, and you shut up, right? And it's a lot of money. What happens when people just go, oh my God, mentally they're going, I just thought I was going to get this cleared, and he was going to leave, and I'm going to go run errands, and I'm staring at X amount of thousands of dollars. And they go, James, this is expensive. I'm like, why is it so expensive?
Especially when they say I wasn't expecting this, the first thing I said, nor was I. I was not expecting to see this here when I got here either. I usually say something like, hey, luckily we were here to be able to find this. Luckily we have the resources and the manpower to be able to crew up and get this project done for you. And I usually say something like, hey, I'm really wanting to be your plumber. No matter which option you choose for me, whether it's this one or this one, I just want to be able to offer a good service to you today.
Sure.
And that's what it's all about.
Sure. And I guess, like you said, you gave them this top option. It's got all this stuff. And if they're like, you know what, that relining, it's expensive, let's just go with that, then no problem, right? You can obligate it. You're okay with doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And then figure out the financing. What's popular financing you've been doing these days?
So Synchrony Bank offers 18 months no interest financing. They have a 12-month no interest plans, a 9.99, a 7.99. They got something within everybody's budget usually. And I also tell people, there is, I wasn't expecting this, neither was I. There is never a good time to have a plumbing emergency. And that's why within our tool bag, we have Synchrony, which is a tool we're able to use to help get our clients what they need to be able to move forward and be able to mitigate water damage.
Right. And then at that point, it's just kind of figuring out what are you looking for? What fits best with your budget? Are you entering 0%? Longer term?
So within the Synchrony app, right on their app, it's like a payment estimator, and I can just put in the amount, and within that amount, press OK, and it'll list like 6 different ways that they can choose from before they even apply, so they can kind of get a good idea budget-wise before they get going.
When you start doing that, and say it's, they just pick the a la carte option, and okay, I got to get the sewer line done, and then they go, oh, well, finance, that's not so bad. Do you go kind of bring up the other repairs that they could do? Because, hey, it's only $100 or whatever it is, I don't know. well, maybe for another $30 a month, we can get that water heater you want.
I think once it becomes a reality that the funds are available, it's definitely worth looking at that top option again. And was there anything that you wanted to add back to this now that this became available?
So you're really, at that point, honing in that body language, how they're reacting.
Those are our recommended options. That's just what we're recommending on doing. And depending on what option it is, there's probably different warranties and guarantees and what that all looks like. And I think the biggest thing for a client is how long are you going to be in the home?
Do you bring it up right at that point? You start going, hey, if they,
Definitely right before the option stage. Like, hey, how long do you think you guys are going to be in the home? I don't know. It's for our forever home. Why? It's like, well, this is why we need to talk.
Let's take care of everything.
And even if it's not, we're selling it next week. Well, hey, let the realtor know there's actually roots in the line and we have a solution for you. Maybe we need to bump up the cost of the house a little bit.
Yeah.
They try to, it's better to me, get it taken care of than have to disclose to a new homeowner that they got problems.
Sure. What do you do when people are just like bugged out and they go, I think I need to get other bids, especially a big relining job, how do you handle that?
For me, I think I used to be a lot different than I am now. I used to be a lot more pushy and things like that. To me, I like to tell somebody that I can understand that they want to get other bids and they want to basically check my information to make sure that they're getting the most for their money or getting the value out of it. But for the most part, it's, what are you looking for more than what I have in here already?
Right.
And usually you're able to dig to the point where it's price.
Yeah.
Hey, we could do something different here. I tell you what, go ahead and get other bids. But I tell you, I'm wanting to be your plumber. And if that means that we have to take some of these things off and do something different, well, let me know. But get your other bids. Call me when you have those bids. Let's compare. I mean, there will never be an apples to apples comparison, but let's compare as much as we can. And let's just see what's up, and usually you can start shooting holes in other guys' operation. Like, oh, where's the permit? Oh, where's the warranty? Oh, they didn't say anything about that. Well, okay, yeah, that might be why it's a little cheaper, and just once you start able to maybe shoot some holes in the other bids, you're able to build some value as well. To do a good job and to work like a gentleman, there's a cost for that. So there just is.
Sure. You said in your market, you guys are known as the technology leaders, though, right? So if someone calls around and goes, do you have relining? Then you're going to get a lot of no's, right? So do you bring up that? Do you mention that? And like, hey, you can have someone, Joe Blow, come out here and he's just going to bust up your yard. I mean, does that become a talking point at some point?
I don't know if that does as much as just mentioning the methods that we can help with, which would be this and the downtime. And then, traditional methods would be this. I mean, it's not that we're opposed to jackhammering someone's house. It's just that why would you when you can do this?
Right.
So it's like, oh, yeah, I'd rather not reline. I'd rather just jackhammer. Well, then we're probably a player.
Yeah.
And we're doing that too.
Right.
But trenchless as often as we can, we're talking about it as much as we can, is it's just really the new way of piping. I think just renewing it in place.
Right. I guess, are there many instances where you're not getting anything and you have to call behind, or normally you're able to sell something on these jobs?
Normally, yeah, we're selling something. Of course, we're getting all the objections under the sun, like, oh, I got to talk to my wife about this, or, hey, it's $40,000. I can't just make a decision right now.
Right.
What I'll do is it's called a placeholder. I'll set a placeholder for another time when maybe wife's home and when we can all discuss this. I believe in equal information, which means, hey, I want you to know about this. I want your wife to know about this. Oh, well, I'll tell her. Really? When was the last time you gave a plumbing presentation? I'll just shoot that down to the point where, you're right. Okay, you can talk to her. And let's just be able to give all the information. At that point, if they don't want to do anything with us, well, then that's just fine. And then we will move on.
Sure.
We try our best.
Sure. So a big job, though, like a relining job, is you're selling it. It's not happening that day. I mean, say it's end of the day, right? It's getting scheduled.
It is.
How do you keep them from canceling? collect a deposit, or what do you do?
Well, our home improvement contract is done that same day. We will have a deposit in hand, and we will let them know if they back up at all within the time of now between when we're able to actually finish the long-term solution. We'll come free of charge, and we will keep them flowing, which I feel very much saves that, because depending on what job you're doing, they got permits involved. I mean, there's some downtime.
Yeah.
To the point where we're just trying to do what we can to keep them flowing so we can get our ducks in a row.
Right. Very good. Yeah. Very good. Let's see, and wrapping up here, let's just kind of some final last questions. What advice would you have to a young James just starting in the service business? A lot of people that might be watching or are listening that are in those similar shoes, young service plumber.
Yeah.
What would you say to him or her on how to be successful in this industry?
Treat every call the same. Just because the house looks different or just whatever, doesn't look like maybe somebody has the money to be able to pay the bill or just whatever it is, treat every person and every house the exact same, because it'll surprise you it'll just surprise you.
Yeah.
Give all of the information. Be very thorough in your diagnostic, and just give all the information. Honesty, even when it's not popular. Like it doesn't matter if you're hurting somebody's feelings because you're telling them their house needs repairs. It's just what needs to happen.
Yeah.
We didn't cause this. And then just give all the options. Give the whole range of the market.
What?
Know your products and services from A to Z and everything your company has to offer. And be confident in every word that you are saying, because confidence will go so far. You'll make a non-believer a believer real quick if you believe in something. The minute that you fail in executing your master of delivery, they will pick up on that and they'll shoot you down.
My next question would be, why do you think people buy from you? Is it the confidence? Is there something else?
I just really care. I just smile and I just kind of kid around with people, and I find a way to create a connection. I got a lot of clients that are like, hey, your room's ready. When I get there, they would have me there any day of the week. Yes, I'm their service provider. I'm their plumber. I'm all these things, but I'm also their friend. And to me, that friendship, that likability between a client and a technician goes way further than anything. Even if a technician does a bad job on something, that client will not go and beat them up online or something. If there's that likability there, they will give us that chance to always make it right.
Sure.
Yeah.
What motivates you to be such a high achiever, to take care of your team? You wear a lot of hats, right? So what drives you? It's not easy at all. So what drives you every day?
I think for me, sorry, I'm kind of getting choked up, but it's all right.
No, man, that's all right.
I think the biggest thing for me was, I just didn't grow up with a lot. And just want to be able to provide.
Yeah.
Just try my best, put my foot forward every day, and just...
Yeah. Take care of your family, take care of your people.
As best as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And myself.
Right.
You just have to take care of yourself or you can't take care of anyone else.
Right.
But there's a love with the trade. Plumbing has never done me wrong. There's just a love with it all, and I just truly love what I do.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So
that's great. Yeah. Last question I have for you is,
yeah.
This is a fun week, fun couple days. You get to be around a lot of other top performers, really just good people. What's it like being a part of Certain Path, being at expos, walking across the stage at Gala? What's that like?
This is Expo Dallas, baby, and it doesn't get better than this. I absolutely love every bit of it. It's a recharger for me every time, as I do not have people in my own community that I can go and talk to about this type of stuff.
Right.
And it allows me to be able to just open up, learn something from them, I was at a table earlier where I was able to teach all them something, and just that to me is what it's all about, is meeting people that are or will be in the same boat that you're in and are all wanting to achieve that common goal of a triple win. And as long as you have that, everybody's happy and high-five.
I love it. I love it. James, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed this.
Absolutely.
Support for this podcast comes from Dynamic Air Quality Solutions. Since 1982, Dynamic has been the leader in designing, manufacturing, and distributing IAQ products to the commercial and residential markets through authorized HVAC contractors. Certain Path members receive the exclusive value of the Clean Air Defense System private label to drive your brand in the market you serve. Our commitment starts with support. We provide you with world-class industry-leading technical and communication training, face-to-face and online. Become a Clean Air Defense System indoor air quality partner and dominate your market. Visit worldclassiaq.com for more information.
The Successful Contractor Podcast is part of the Certain Path family. Certain Path builds successful home service businesses and has for 23 years. We do it by providing contractors with a proven path to success, professional coaching, software solutions, and a member community of over 1,000 contractors just like you. Doubling your sales with a 20% net profit and an inspiring company culture is all possible. Let us show you the way. With Certain Path, success is made certain. Visit www.mycertainpath.com for more information.